Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about somebody we haven't talked about before, and of course this has to do with the Ilymation and Think Before You Sleep drama. I myself thought that a month ago this would all die down and we would stop talking about it, but apparently not. A couple of days ago, the creator by the name of Noah Samson pretty much revived the drama again by making an hour-long video which includes me and some other creators that I've collaborated with in the past, pretty much calling them nerds for going into the facts about nutrition. Now, I'll say this before we even get started. I honestly feel like this drama should have been blown over if Illy's quote-unquote friend that we talked about in the last video we made on this subject wouldn't have said anything about it. This whole thing would have definitely died down and we wouldn't be here talking about it at all. So thanks, Noah. Thanks a lot. Anyways, there are some parts of the video that I feel like are of particular concern, especially when we get to the 14-minute mark where bro literally says that Think Before You Sleep is responsible for people wanting to kill Ilymation because of what the doxing messages say. But yeah, we're super close to 4,000 subscribers, so if you don't mind, hit the subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel a lot, but let's just get into it. So around the end of the 3-minute mark, Noah claims that Think Before You Sleep edited a clip that pretty much sent the entire commentary community into a rile and frenzy, because it deceptively paints a picture that Ilymation is promoting fat acceptance or obesity or fat culture or whatever the fuck. Here's the clip in question.
Did she really say this? Is she really going to get people killed? Let's take a closer look at the evidence and find out. So one thing I noticed in Sean's video is that there's a funny cut when he shows this clip. Right after the line, no matter how many calories, carbs, and sugars, the video skips just a bit. The s'more changes hands, the boy's blood sugar monitor, that's what this is, it just sort of appears on the chair. There's a break in continuity. So I went back to Illy's actual video and see if you can spot what he decided to cut from this sequence.
No matter how many calories, carbs, sugars, whatever is in it. Unless you have life-threatening allergies or dietary restrictions to follow, you should feel free to eat whatever food you want to without beating yourself up about it.
So immediately before she says that fated line, eat whatever you want, she added a caveat. She said, unless you have life-threatening allergies or dietary restrictions to follow. While this line is being delivered, you can also see on the screen that the boy who has diabetes is taking a reading of his blood sugar and then gets the green light. So he's good to go for having a s'more with his friends without throwing his...
Now, I'm not gonna lie, that's a really good find. It would have been even better if it had meant anything. Also, if you didn't show Ilymation low-key contradicting herself within the first couple of minutes of the statement. The contradiction comes in when body neutrality is mentioned and that Ilymation is an advocate for such a thing. And as a matter of fact, before she makes the comment about carrots and chocolate or whatever, this is the subject that brings her to saying that. As Noah mentions in his video, it's about removing the morality from food. By the way, body neutrality is the practice of being at peace with your body and its limitations and not really trying to change it. Now, I don't think anybody needs to be Einstein to figure out why morality is attributed to food. There are inherently good and inherently bad foods, especially processed and man-made stuff. Not only are there countless studies that prove processed food and processed sugars are causing obesity not only in children but in adults, specifically in America. But if you watch the video, when Noah starts to talk about the famous quote, unless you have a life-threatening allergy or dietary restrictions to follow, you should feel free to eat whatever you want to. I don't know about you guys, but something's not adding up. If you have dietary restrictions, you either want to improve your self-image or you medically need to have dietary restrictions because you either have diabetes or resulting problems that stem from your weight, which worsens over time due to poor decision making and removing the morality from food. Well, that in conjunction with all of the processed food that you're able to eat. So how are you going to be at peace with your body and its limitations and not trying to change it while also trying to change it via your dietary restrictions? And that's not even the only thing. There's a certain part in the video where Think's comments about Illy's younger audience comes up, and for the record, I don't believe that Think actually believes that all 2.53 million of her subscribers are kids, but I definitely believe most of them are from Gen Z. And as of 2023, about 56% of Gen Z adults are overweight or obese. Even if we were talking about children, we're still looking at 1 in 5 kids. And I only bring this stat up because Noah seems to think that Think's comment about overweight people watching that video will then take after what Ilymation is saying and eat themselves into an early grave, which obesity does do that.
You know what's great about this advice? Because you conflated being overweight with extreme obesity, so you could say that both are healthy, what's going to happen is that people who watch this video that are 300 pounds are going to say, see, Alyssa is fine with being overweight, I don't have to change either. And then they'll eat themselves into an early grave.
Note that it's not just it might happen, he said that it's going to happen. So it's sort of a direct accusation there, just so we're clear about that. Now, that's a pretty serious accusation, right? So how does
I don't even really know why this was a point in the video, as if we don't have people in America dying every single day from obesity. Some studies show that if you are obese, you've shaved at least 10 years off of your life. Of course, these numbers vary, but it's still an early grave nonetheless. There was nothing wrong about that statement. Also, is it really such a crazy thing to think that in this day and age, with how many people form parasocial relationships with other YouTubers that they have grown up watching, that somebody wouldn't just blindly follow somebody else's advice? I mean, come on, this is the internet. Of course that's gonna happen.
The implication here is that Illy's video may end up directly harming or possibly killing children. If we hold him to all the assertions he's made here, that's what the video is telling us. And then we remember his inclusion of children in the thumbnail and his later speculations about her child audience.
Considering that in this post you stated that your market is children, do you really think this is being a good role model?
And the results are that his viewers have heard his message loud and clear. She should not be telling children that it's okay to be unhealthy. 4,000 likes. Illy, you're feeding 14-year-old insecure children lies about health. As a soon-to-be doctor, yeah, I'm sure that's true. As a soon-to-be doctor, you are making everything worse for the next generation. Little content warning here for some bad stuff. I hate this lying Jewish blank with all my heart. She needs to die. The new video she made is promoting childhood obesity. She is a cancer to this world and needs to be rotting 6 feet under the ground. This comment is from the doxing thread. They stated they were going to visit her in California. They said they wanted her dead, and at that point they knew where she lived. Thankfully, Illy was able to move before anything violent happened, but if this person, for example, had taken action, Sean's video very well could have been what pushed them over the edge.
Okay, so now it just kind of seems like a guilty by association fallacy. I don't really think in any way, shape, or form Think Before You Sleep is responsible for the people that did end up doxing Illymations. By the way, that situation definitely shouldn't have happened. I mean, the people that are out here doxing Illymations for crying about somebody having a different opinion than her seems kind of retarded. Like, you're so much of a baby that you're potentially putting someone's life at risk because you don't agree with what they said. Right. And apparently it wasn't just her that got doxxed, it was her family as well. And so this is when the situation kind of reached an all-time high, or at least it did in my opinion, because I mean, dragging somebody's family into a situation that they have nothing to do with is kind of fucking stupid. If you're the type of person to do something like that for whatever reason, you probably should be in jail. Not gonna lie, man. But here's the thing, like, whenever somebody gets into a certain drama and they have like a big community, right? There's always gonna be like those crazy fans that are willing to do some type of stuff like this. Commit crimes in defense of the person that they are in favor of. In my eyes, as long as the person that they are idolizing or defending isn't outright telling you to go dox somebody or to commit a crime, then the actions of the persons in question is not the fault of the creator, especially because Illymations already had doxers that were hating on her from the beginning. All of those messages from the doxers that are talking about her being Jewish, yeah, she's ran into those people already. These are likely the same people who are responsible for the first time she got doxed, which she covered in a video about her being Jewish, which I believe was back in 2018 if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, man, like I said before, all this stuff should have been died out, okay? Like, we're here almost 2 months later still talking about the same stuff. It's kind of getting ridiculous, man. I'm not gonna lie. Finally, Noah tries to make a point that is seemingly in favor of YouTube's TOS, which I'm pretty sure we all know can be very, very finicky at times, where he says this.
Let's tame this argument. 2 points are being raised for this claim. Number one, Sean's video wasn't actually cyberbullying, so reporting it is malicious.
I know that my video doesn't break any of them in the hate speech policy or the harassment and cyberbullying policy.
The video you're trying to flag does not qualify as harassment.
In no way is the video cyberbullying.
So firstly, whether or not Sean's video actually broke the rules is not your call. It's not my call. It's not your mom's call. You should call your mom though. It's YouTube's call. YouTube's reviewers decide that. Their opinion is the only opinion that actually matters. And if what you're saying is true, then why are we whining about it? Sean has nothing to worry about. The review will come up negative. If it doesn't, then he can appeal. And if he didn't break the rules, then he'll win that appeal. A review coming up negative doesn't prove ill intent. If that were the case, then every negative review ever made would be a false flag. And that's silly. You know, these things happen all the time. Despite its silliness though, that didn't stop some of these guys from essentially making this same claim.
Do you know what's actually in violation of YouTube's bullying and harassment rules? This Tumblr post.
What she's doing with this post right here does actually break YouTube's terms of service.
Now, I don't know exactly the amount of times we've covered here on this channel specifically, how many times YouTube has got it wrong in terms of copyright violations or clearly being on the wrong side of a situation that they could have easily prevented. And I say that to make the point that YouTube obviously is not perfect. Sometimes you'll send in a 30-minute video that has a copyright strike on it, for example, and it'll come back 3 minutes later and give a BS reply about their team stands by their decision as if somebody actually watched it. As a result of that very imperfect system, Think Before You Sleep now has a strike on his channel, and that first video that is being referenced in this video that I'm talking about isn't even on his channel anymore. And pretty much anybody with a brain in their head that watched that video can see that that wasn't cyberbullying or harassment at all. The only reason why anybody would probably even think that, in my opinion, is because of the way he talks, or because he tends to overanalyze a lot of stuff and do a lot of research into his videos, which is why they're more than 30 minutes on average. So honestly, I mean, it really just doesn't make any sense to me. This video is just reigniting something that honestly should have died a month ago. However, I do like what Noah's doing with the photos though. Some of them made me laugh, but that's probably the only good thing I have to say about the video, and hopefully this is the last video I have to make on the topic. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Sub up, stay safe, and peace.